Folks, I had one of my subscribers and kind of a buddy I've made online show me a video the other day that he had produced, and he had done a nice little map in it where it showed, like a line that goes, and he's showing his journeys, and the line goes, from one point to the other. The only thing, I didn't want to do this as being a smart aleck or anything, because his video was excellent. And but the one thing it did was, like, say he went from this point here to this point, he just showed like a straight line going across. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you could do like the Indiana Jones sort of thing, and you could make it follow the line and progress, and then maybe go and follow the line again, your different portions of your journey. And so I got to thinking about how would I pull that off, and I thought of about 3 different ways I could do it, and I determined this might be the easiest way. So I'm going to show you what I have done. Let me go over here to the sequence that I've created. And what I might do, I'm going to click on this window here. I'm going to hit the tilde key on my Premiere Pro. I'm using the CC version. I'm just going to take the little thing here, the little position key, a little position toggle switch. I'm going to left click on it and just drag it. And watch what happens. See the little red as it progresses here? As I'm going forward, this shows my journey, and it turns the little line red as it goes. And I'm going to go here. This is going along Interstate 40 south of Valdez. I'm going to go to exit 105, and I'm going to go north here. At this point, it kind of stops, and I'll let it establish where it's going to go. Then we're going to go north with it. And we're going to go up Highway 181 like we're headed up toward Table Rock. And so the red progresses along with that and stops up here at the top. And we go backward. We can see we can make it all go backward to the beginning point. So how did I pull this off? And this is there are probably better ways of doing this, but I try to think this is the easiest way I can make it happen and make it happen fast. The other thing I could have done here, I could have animated. I could have put a title that comes in at this point, and I could have put a little dot there, make a little dot or a star that glows or something like that. I didn't do that naturally, but that's something that could have been done there to show the midpoints or where you turn. I'm gonna hit the tilde key to come out of this. And so how did I do this little thing? Well, first of all, this is a 1080p video clip right here. This sequence 2 that I have here is a 1080p, which most people are still using. And the thing I liked about what my buddy had done is his map moved. And so you can see this map moves too. See how the Valdez and all the background is moving? So what I wanted something that was larger than the 1080p, so that I could make it pan and move around regardless of all the little lines first. I wanted to have a map that could move, right? So what I did, this is actually a map that I drew. This is not something that's copywritten. It's this one I drew here to show how to get to hospitals in Morganton and Valdez, North Carolina. So I had this map drawn in Illustrator. I'm going to go to Illustrator right quick, and you'll see kind of what I've done here. Here was my map that I drew years and years ago. And so here's the whole layout: Lenore, Sawmills, Rutherford College, Colling Springs, Valdez, all this. And then I had Interstate 40 here is a line that I'd drawn. And here is Highway 18. So what I did, I had my hospital map saved as just an Illustrator file. Then I copied this hospital map, and I made this file, which is just Highway 181. I deleted everything except for that line. Then I made the line a little bit fatter, and I made it red. Okay. Then I took this file again, and I copied it, and I made just the Interstate 40, and I turned it red. I don't think I made this one fat, or just left it red. So I had 3 different Illustrator files. Now, when I went over to Premiere, originally I brought all 3 Illustrator files in and tried to stack them up in a 4K sequence. Now, why did I choose 4K? Well, 4K is much larger than 1080p. It's 4 times the size. And if you've not used a 4K sequence, maybe you've not had reason to, unless you're editing 4K video. But you can just go File, and you can say New Sequence. And then instead of like AVC HD or whatever you might normally pick, DV, NTSC, whatever, you just pull down here and you go to Red RD3. Now the Red cameras will shoot 4K video, so I go down here and I picked me like a 4K. I think I picked just the 4K setting here. I probably picked, I think I picked the 16:9:24 or something like that, or maybe 16:9:29:97. I can't remember which one I picked, but I picked one of these. And if you click on that, you'll see these are huge. Right here it shows the video settings. These are, instead of 1920 by 1080, this is like 4096 by, gosh, I don't even know what the other size of it is. Oh, here it is at the very top. It shows 4096 by 2304. So I have a sequence that is much larger than the 1080p, and that way I can nest it inside the other sequence and make it move around. So this, you see, this sequence is the other sequence, the 4K sequence, pulled into this, and then I made it move around. So, okay, so how did I do this? Well, first thing I was going to say is originally I pulled the Illustrator files in and I stacked them all up in here. I made me some white video. Now, how do you make white video? If you don't know how to make white video, you say File. You help me remember here myself. I think you go to Color Matte, okay, Color Matte. And then you can pick, like here in this one, I can pick whatever I want. Okay. I'll say, let's do that. And then you pick whatever color you want. And I picked white. I did it by going to, you know, the RGB colors 255, 255, 255. I said, okay, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to cancel it because I already brought my white video in. But so I had my white video in. I pulled it on the bottom. Why? Because if I pull this off, you'll see what I have these Photoshop files with no background behind them, so it looks terrible. You have to put white behind them. So the thing I found out when I brought my Illustrator files in is, shame on Adobe. Adobe does not do when you bring it does not continuously rasterize Illustrator files like Adobe After Effects does. Adobe After Effects, you have a little button you can click and tell it to continuously rasterize. When I blew this map up, it was very pixely looking. Once again, no continuous rasterize in Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm sure that could be an easy thing for Adobe to add, so we kind of wish they'd do that. But so what I had to do, I had to open each of those Illustrator files with Adobe Photoshop. Now, the thing I wanted to do, of course, is make sure that when you open a file in Photoshop, an Illustrator file, if it's just this line, then it's going to try to open up just this much of it. But what I want to open the whole thing so all these frames will overlap each other and there won't be any misalignment, right? So from Photoshop, I did File, Open, and so here I am mapped to Hospitals I-40. It's just open the I-40 part. Opened up all three of them, but the reason I wanted you to see this is just this. You want to be sure that crop to bounding box, actually crop box is what I chose. If you do crop box, then what you get is you get the whole thing, the whole page. See, see, it got all this. If I had done the other selection, it would have opened just this much right here, and I would have had to go into Premiere and pull these things up and down. So then I just did File, Save As, and I save them as Photoshop files because all these little gray dots here, all these little gray checkerboards are transparencies. So I wanted this all to be transparent, so I could lay these lines across the top of, stack them across the top of each other in Premiere. So I'm going to hit cancel for now. That's just what I did with all three of the Illustrator files. So I opened them that way, and then I'm going to actually close Illustrator now. I probably don't need it anymore. And so what I did was I pulled, first of all, I'm going to turn these eyeballs off here so you can see. I pulled my white video in, then I pulled in my map and got it and made it just the size I want it to be. Of course, I'm in the 4K sequence, and it should also be said when I open those things up in Photoshop, I opened them up I think maybe 5,000 pixels wide because I knew my 4K sequence was over 4,000 pixels wide, and I wanted to be able to size that. So then I pulled my red line down here, and the thing that you don't see right now, I'm going to click on this, is I've got a crop. I put a crop on it, so I'm going to turn the crop off. So now you can see the red line going all the way across. Okay, then I pulled the second one down, which is up here, which is the Highway 181. I'm going to turn it on, and you see part of it here. I'm going to turn. It actually has a crop on it as well. So I'm going to show you that one. Okay, here's the crop on that. I turn that little FX toggle thing there, turns it off. So there you can see with the crop off of it, there it is. So what is the crop? Well, see, so what I've really got with my effects turned off. Let me turn this. I have a still here as well. I'm gonna pull this aside for a second. I'll show you how I pulled this off. So here's what I really have. I have two red lines in Photoshop laying over the top, or two red Photoshop files, which are just those roads over the top of this map. But I want to give it the illusion of the line moving, right? So now I'm doing all this first before I drag it into the other sequence. So I use the crop tool, and here's what the crop tool is. I'm going to go back to this one here, which is the Interstate 40 one. I'm going to turn my crop back on. What crop is a little control that lets you, watch how the red moves here, that lets you move over time, and it crops or doesn't crop. So look, if I had let this keep on going, it would have gone all the way out to Interstate 40, and it would have crossed over the area I want to stop right at this point right here, right? That brings in what I've done with this still here. So what I did, I added the crop, and you go over here to where the effects are, and you just type in crop. And you've got your crop effect, and you drag it onto the one you want to crop. In this instance, it's the Interstate 40 one, the black line here that I want to turn red. And so what I did, I pulled that onto it. Then what it did, it pulls the crop effect up here in your effects control toggle up here, right? And so what I did, I clicked the little, went to the farthest left point here on my timeline, and I clicked the little stopwatch, the toggle animation. And so then what I did is I pulled forward to the place where I wanted that red to come to, and you see the red advancing there. But look up here what's happening too. See how my left crop is all here? I got to this point right here. Okay, right here. And I decided that was far enough. If I zoom this in a little bit better, you'll be able to see it better too. Let's make this where you can see it a little better. At this point, the red had gone far enough, right? Let me pull this back up just a little so I can show you what I did here with my timeline. So at this point, I realized I wanted to map the other line from Highway 181 to start going north. So what I did, I pulled this back to this point. I knew that was the last instance of this line that I wanted, okay? And then what I did, this bitmap over here, this BMP file, is a screenshot. I got to this point where the last point that I wanted to show of that red line was, and right there it is, right there. And then I went over here to the little picture button, clicked on that, and I saved a bitmap of that 4K sequence. I think I called it still. And so you see over here, I pulled still in. If you click this little toggle right here, it says import into project, then it's going to pull that directly into your project. And so I did that. I'm going to cancel it now. And that's what you see over here. I pulled this and made this piece of video stop right there. Then I've got this bitmap that lays over the top of that. Now what that does is that keeps underneath this stopped version of I-40. So what you're seeing at this point is this bitmap. You're not seeing the white and this pink underneath. Matter of fact, I could pull them back. Like they're not even going to be there now. But still, you don't know. So right there, those two are gone. But I get to that point where I want my my red to go, and then I bring the other one in on top. So here is the other Highway 181. And so I had to put a crop on Highway 181 too, so that it wouldn't just be a red line, right? So I'm going to click on that one, and I'll go up here and I'll turn my crop back on. I turned it off a minute ago. I went to the very first frame of that piece of video, and right there it is. And I went over here and got crop, and I drug it onto this. Then I went and I cropped up from the bottom, and So I brought it up from the bottom to the point where just the very tip of that is all it's showing. And then I went to the top and I cropped it down to this point. So I've got a crop going up and down like this, mashing down on this line. The red line is there, but it's being cropped down to a point where it's just a tiny little speck there. And then I pulled out to the end to where I want it to go to. And you'll see here, see how my crops are changing? The bottom stays the same, but the top goes up. Now, I don't have to program all these in. All I have to do is go to the point where I want it to stop, right here. And then I put my percentage in, or I drag it up. Now, let me show you how this works here. So I don't want you to be in the dark about this. I'm going to hold my cursor over the top of this and see where the little finger comes. Now, if I left click on this, I can drag it left to right and watch what happens. See how it's going? See the red here happening? As I go left to right, you can tell it's where you want it to go to. So I'm going to go back up here to about 36, and that's where I want that line to go to. And there you see over time, you click your start and your end, and over time that red advances. Okay, so that much was done. It's harder for me to explain than it is to show it. Hopefully it's very easy for you to understand. Then you go down to create your new sequence, which is 1080p. So I created this sequence 2, which is 1080p. And then I pulled the 4K sequence down onto it. So here's the 4K sequence. And I wanted to position that 4K sequence where I want it to be. So I did a position. Now I could have toggled it. This also could scale, but I didn't do that. I just did position. I clicked on the toggle animation at the very first frame here. You'll make sure you're all the way back to the left. Click that. So let's say I had wanted that somewhere else. Wanted to start this a little bit further left to right. I can once again hold over the position here, and I can once again left click and go left to right here. And you see there's the edge of my map, so I didn't want to do that. But I could go in there. If I wanted to start a little higher up, I could have started a little higher up or a little lower down, whatever. So there's my start point. And then I let this thing go. And you see that the red is advancing on the other sequence. So all this was already done. I don't even have to worry about that. I just have to worry where I'm going to get to and stop. So I got to this point right here, and I decided I wanted it to stop for a minute and let the red come here and make a little jump, and then start again, right? And that's how you would typically do, like in the Indiana Jones effect. You'd come to a little thing and you put your star or whatever there, and then you go forward. I didn't do that, but we could do that. So here you go. You come to this point, and what I did when I got to the place I wanted to stop, I added another keyframe. I'm going to pull this over for a second. And so right here is your this little add remove keyframe. So right there, I got to that point, and I knew I wanted that to stop, and I hit that button, and it put a keyframe there. That told it to stop moving. This whole picture to stop moving for a second. And then I went to this point right here when it gets to there and starts to go north. Or I said right there, I'm going to add another keyframe, so I put that in, and that's telling it I'm going to start moving again, okay? Then I just pulled forward until I got up here to the very top, and then I created my location for where I wanted this to end. So here I am at the last keyframe, and it automatically puts the keyframes in if you're up here changing something. So like say I wanted that to go a little bit differently. I wanted that to be farther down or over here or something like that. So there we go. Now I've got this that I can drag across, and I can export this. You know, for fun, let's go ahead and put that little star there like we talked about. I'm going to say File, New. I'm going to do a new title. We're going to call this, I don't know, Locator Dot. Let's say I want to show where that exit 105 is. So here you know what? I better go back. I'm going to cancel that for a second. I'm going to get to the exact point where I want that dot to end up so I can see where I want that thing to show. Right there is where I want to show. Now I'm going to go back to my locator dot title, and I'm going to get a shape. Let's circle. There's my circle. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and drag this circle over here. Now I've got a real green dot. So I want that dot to appear right there. So I'm going to say save. I'm going to close this. Now the dot is not there. I want the dot to appear when we get to that spot, right? So now I'm going to pull my locator dot on top of this, and I'm probably going to fade it in. I think I will fade that in. Actually, I might wait till right about here. I'm going to start this fading in. So I'm going to do over here in the effects, I'm going to do cross. There's cross dissolve. Let's pull that on top of that. So now at this point, my dot is going to appear right here. I don't want that to happen too slow. I'm going to pull the cross dissolve. I'm going to get on. I'm going to left click on the edge of this little cross dissolve, and I'll pull it back some. Now I'm going to pull this back. This changes the length of time that the cross dissolve, that the dot is on there. Pull this cross dissolve back. Let's see what we got. So now we get here. We show a green, and then we go forward. Dot appears, dot goes away, and we keep going forward. And we could add another dot up here at the top if we want to. As a matter of fact, we could use the same dot that we've got. Let's get up here to where it stops. And I could pull the locator dot back on here. Now the locator dot's in the wrong place, right? Not a problem, we just relocate it. We'll go up here and use motion, and we'll go up here to the 540, and we're going to pull it left. See what I'm doing here? I'm just pulling that left till it comes up here. I'm going to go to this one, I'm going to pull it left, and right there we go. So we could cross dissolve that dot in as well too. And now when we get to the top of our thing and we reach our destination, we put that dot in. So folks, that's kind of my little tutorial for how I make moving roads, or you know, I guess you'd call it the sort of the Indiana Jones. If we wanted to make a little animated airplane and make it go across that, we could certainly do that. Maybe I'll do that in another video in the future. So there you go. Let's tilt out onto this one time, and I'll show you whoops, how that looks all together a little bit bigger. Okay. And of course you just render this out to H.264 or whatever, and any kind of whatever output you want to use, MPEG, and there you go. You've got your map that advances in color and has a little destination at the end of it. Cheers, peace to all. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe if you like the videos. I'm sorry I'm not so concise. I'm not the best in the world explaining things, but try to make it very clear. Let me know if you have any problems, and I'll try to answer those. Y'all be cool.